Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Two Flippin' Dudes, where Chris and I take on the reselling world. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris. It's always great to see you, Chris.
Great to see you. Happy Thursday, Jason.
Happy Thursday to you as well. We've got an exciting show going on tonight. We're going to be talking about Chris's best-selling 3 brands from 2020, so stay tuned for that because you're not going to want to miss that. He's going to give you some insider information on his business. And then I just want to point out as well, if you're watching for the first time tonight, if this is your first time joining us, please put in the comments and let us know that you are watching for the first time and where you're watching from. We always love to know where our viewers are watching from and just to know where you are around the world. So thanks for jumping in. Well, I wanted to start because if you remember last week, Chris, I was telling you about my grandmother's items that she asked me to sell, like those antique knives. Do you remember those?
I'm fascinated by these grandma flips. This is awesome.
Yeah, so I had like some really old 50, 60, 70-year-old vintage pocket knives. I had Zippo lighters. I had just some random pieces. And if you remember, I was listing them and they all went live Friday and Saturday. And already I've sold like a third of my grandmother's inventory for almost $400. So I know she's got to be excited about that so far.
That's ridiculous. That's like super fast sales. Grandma must be psyched. Hopefully, you better not be like playing with the numbers on grandma. You better be up.
I know, right?
You better be on the up and up.
Let's just hope she's not watching this. But grandma, if you are, your check's in the mail soon. Well, what's going on with you, Chris? What's your week been like?
Man, great week. Kind of 2 big highlights is number 1, I've been chopping down this death pile and broke it down from what was at one time a death mountain. And now it's just this little anthill. So that was like highlight number 1 of this week. So I actually only thrifted one day this week because I spent a ton of time just working through that pile. And number 2 is yesterday I had a crusher thrift day. I got some really great stuff, some of which I'll show you in a little bit, but just some brands that I don't normally come across and some really cool vintage stuff. So I'm psyched to show you and everybody some of those finds.
Well, awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear that little death pile is diminishing. So it's always good to know. Well, let's go ahead and kick off early tonight. Chris, why don't you take it away and tell us about the show?
Well, good evening. Welcome to Two Flippin' Dudes. This is a live weekly show by resellers for resellers and the reselling curious. Jason and I do this show for 3 reasons. First, we love reselling. Second, we love talking about reselling. I think y'all do too. And third, we really hope that you walk away from this episode and every episode with a tidbit or 2 or a knowledge nugget or 2 that'll help you grow your own reselling business or start your own reselling business. So thanks for joining us either live tonight or if you're watching the recording, thank you for spending time with us and joining the conversation. And Jason, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you as well. And that's who we are, guys. That's what this show is all about. And the important thing about this show is that we want to answer the questions that are at the top of your mind. So go ahead and fire those away in the chat. If you already have some reselling questions, those of you who have been in here know the routine. We'll get to those a little later. But yeah, if you're new, don't waste any time. Go ahead and put in a question if you have one for us, and we'd like to answer that. We always look at, we always have a great turnout of people showing up, and we've already got a lot of great people in with us tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces. I wanted to point out, looks like Kyle may be watching us for the first time. And he says, watching from Baltimore, Maryland. So Kyle, welcome to the show. Seeing some very, a lot of people who have jumped in before. Colts Comics. Terry's watching from Virginia. Terry, welcome. Don Smith is from Wisconsin as well. So already got some great people in the live with us. So thanks for telling us where you are and where you're watching from. Juan in the house.
So I think we have 3 of the 4 American time zones represented. Has anyone from the Pacific time zone jumped in yet?
Let's see. Anyone watching from Pacific time?
They're probably just really diligent workers. It's 5 p.m. Pacific time, so they're probably working late. It's only 5:06. They're probably putting in some OT.
Hip Flippin' Mama says, hello, baby, I'm here. You got to laugh out of that one. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I see Ginger in the live as well. Ed. All right. Well, as we always do at this part of the show, we always just show you a few items that we've picked up this week, items that we're excited about. And we always try and change it up and get some different things in front of you. So we're not just showing you the same items over and over. So Chris, why don't you take it away and show us a couple items you picked up this week that you're excited about?
Right on. I'm going to hit you with maybe two bursts of stuff. So if I could steal the camera for a little bit here, Jason, and show you a few things. I'm going to start with a burst of like rad vintage stuff that I was psyched to find just yesterday. So first thing, check out this vintage piece. Boom.
Wow.
Look at that. So the tag here, LL Bean. Definitely a vintage Bean tag there. And look at that, the Polar Tech Loud and Proud on there, Windblock series. There's also another tag that you'll probably recognize.
I love that tag. That's amazing.
Yeah, that definite old vintage LL Bean tag. Another, and it's like Loud and Proud with the Polar Tech there too. This must have been when Polar Tech was like just new, so they were like really promoting that on there. But look at that pattern on that thing. I'm not sure what size it is because the size tag is a little worn out, but just a quick eyeball. I think it's an extra large, which is a good size. I have never sold one of these vintage Bean pieces. Jason, what do you think it's going to go for? I think I paid $5 for it.
Yeah, honestly, when you held that up, I didn't know that was going to be an LL Bean. That's such a unique pattern. Size is obviously going to determine, but I would say, man, I feel like you can get at least 40 at a minimum with shipping. So that'd probably be the low end for me, maybe possibly 50 with that pattern.
Nice. Yeah. I think I'll list it high and see what happens. Definitely a unique pattern for sure.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
Let's stay outdoors and let's stay vintage again. So check out this thing. I've never seen anything really like this, at least from this brand. I mean, obviously it's a unique.
Is that silk?
Yeah, it's no. Well, let's see. It's 100% polyester. You'll recognize that brand. Definitely a vintage Patagonia tag. It's a size medium. But look at that is just. I've never seen a Patagonia like this. And I'm curious, Jason, if you've seen this. This is on the very bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but it says Rhythm on it.
Oh wow.
And it's got, I don't know what the logo is. Maybe somebody in the chat has known this one before. I've never come across this before.
I've never seen that before. That's interesting.
It says Rhythm. And I just, in the store, I did a quick look of some comps. Like I put in Rhythm and Patagonia Vintage. And there was a fair amount of them that had that logo. And the comps are pretty good. But I was just trying to see, like, is this fake or not? Never seen anything like this. And once I realized it was legit, I forget what the comps were. But good enough for me to pick up. I paid $4 for it. I don't know what I'm going to list it for. Easily into the mid 30s, upper 30s. Yeah. I'm thinking at the minimum for this bad boy. Yeah,
that's a very unique Patagonia piece. I've never seen one like that before.
Yeah, I was psyched. So that's my flurry of vintage stuff. I have some tags that I almost never find, but I'll leave that for the next flurry. I want to see some stuff you got.
Yeah, I'm going to leave one of these as a potential coolest pick. I'm still deciding on 2 or 3 items, but I'm going to go full screen so you guys can see it here. I've got this piece right here. I paid $7.50. That is a vintage Eddie Bauer tag right there. And if you're not sure how I would list this would be a fisherman's sweater. It's a very heavy cotton. Obviously, very great piece here. If you remember last week, I was talking about Eddie Bauer. That's one of those pieces that I'll pick up, those fisherman sweaters. I've consistently gotten a low of 30 and as high as 40, low 40s on something like that. So, I guess it depends on whether I want to wait till next winter. If it doesn't sell, I could price it to sell it this year, or I could just sit on it if I price it higher. So I'm not sure what I'll do yet on that. And here's another piece that I picked up kind of on a, last second, going by a rack as I was finishing up at a store yesterday. Tag on this is Brooks Brothers. Chris, you know that one well.
Yes, sir.
And this guy is 100% merino wool. It's a sweater vest. It's got this awesome pattern on it, and it's a 2XL. If you guys don't know about Brooks Brothers, especially in the sweaters, I know we've talked about dress shirts. But those sweaters with the wool, large sizes, and that pattern will sell really quickly for around $50. So, Brooks Brothers is another great sweater find. And we've said it before in the past, but wool is amazing. So
that's a great find. Obviously, I've picked up that tag a lot, but I've never found a sweater like that in merino. I've sold some cotton sweaters that did okay in Brooks Brothers, but merino is key.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, man, yesterday was a great thrifting day. And so I got a lot of really good stuff.
That's awesome. And this is a live show, so things happen live. I sold an item just now. Well, I sold it like literally 30 seconds before we went live tonight. And now the person just paid for it. So now that is my biggest sale of the week. If we count it, they didn't pay till after the show started, but they bought it like 30 seconds before the show started. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get there in a minute. I'm going to show you some tags that I very, very rarely find that I came across this week. This one, Christiane Dior, which is definitely a high-end designer brand. This is just a pretty standard shirt. It is 60% cotton, 40% polyester. So a men's dress shirt. It's a size 16.5, 34, 35. So probably a size large-ish, it looks like, striped shirt. And it's that's the name of the Monsieur, I guess. Monsieur is the name of the line, I guess, for it. So it's not a high-end Christiane Dior. Like some of you out there might be like, "Whoa, that's a designer brand. Like that's got to go for like $100." I don't think so. I think the comps for this Monsieur are more like a $35-ish shirt, maybe if I hold out for my price. Of course, I think you can get higher money for these if you really want to sit around and wait for someone to come pay high dollars, because it was probably a couple $100 shirt new. Yeah, kind of a cool find. It's actually the second Christiane Dior that I've found in the last, say, 5 weeks. I found another Monsieur about 5 weeks ago, and it's still in my inventory.
Nice. That's a great pickup.
Yeah, I like that one. It's always fun. A little something different. It's fun to find these like rare kind of designer brands. Another one, Tory Richard. I don't find a ton of this one, but lately it's been popping off for me. Check out the fish print on this thing.
I bet now that you've moved to Florida and season change and stuff, people getting rid of stuff when, starts to warm up, I bet you'll start to find a lot more of those Tory Richards. That's a Florida style shirt right there.
I actually found at least 2. I think there might be 3. And interestingly, they're all 100% cotton. I usually, I'm familiar with the silk aloha style. This is cotton, but I love that, like all over fish print. I think that one will go quick. And then last one that I'll show you here. This is actually from the vintage category. I should have already showed you this. Check out that.
Whoa. I don't know that I've seen a Tommy Bahama tag like that.
I don't think I have either. It put off my maybe it's a fake sort of vibes for a second, but it seems like it's legit. I found some others that had the same tag. It's a size XL. Check out this pattern. I mean,
that's beautiful.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
It's kind of super unique with it's got pineapples and flowers, palm trees. I mean, what more can a man ask for? Beautiful shirt, vintage Tommy. I'm thinking $35 on that bad, Larry.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'll show you guys one more and then we can move on to some questions. But I wish I could find shirts like this every week when I went out or when I go out. You guys know this brand, Polo Ralph Lauren. Large, not bad, but check out, I'm going to stand back a little bit. Check out this shirt. Look at the large stripes, long sleeve. Maybe someone can help me out in the comments. I don't think this is a rugby shirt per se, but it's obviously a long sleeve polo that with these like vintage polos that have the large stripes. I'm thinking a minimum of $35 and possibly up to $45. I'll probably list it higher, around $50, and see if I get any offers on that right away. But I don't think it'll take long to sell on that, especially we're in long sleeve weather. So
that's a great find. I'd list it as a long sleeve polo shirt, but to be honest, I'd probably put rugby as a keyword in the title.
Yeah, I think that's rugby. And then a lot of times when I have those stripes like that, the big stripes, I'll put that in the title, big stripes, or if it's very colorful, color block, or just a lot of keywords that you can touch on if you're listing stuff like that as well.
Right on. Great find.
All right, well, let's turn to some questions. Ginger asks a great question. And Chris, I'll let you take this one first, but do you tend to list high, mid-range, low? I always wonder about pricing. Maybe you can talk about some of the strategies out there.
Yeah, good question, Ginger. Jason, I think you and I have a similar strategy here. I list high, so I'm listing at probably the 90th or 95th percentile, so right at the top of comps, recent sales. That's what I'm pricing at. Sometimes higher than that if I know that those comps are, like the recent comps are kind of not super accurate, because sometimes people are just unloading stuff they don't know it's worth. So short answer, I list high, unless, like Jason just mentioned, end of season, which we're approaching now, even though it's only January 28th. People purchase clothing for the next season, not necessarily the season that they're in. So that'll switch over, February. I mean, really, it's this week is the time to start thinking about pricing mid-range for definite winter items if you want them to move fast. So something to think about. But yeah, short answer, high.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Chris, we like you said, we do list very similarly on that. Juan asks, what's your favorite way to source? Honestly, Juan, if I take that question, I would just say you can't beat, I would say, first of all, you can't beat garage sales, yard sales. You're outside, you're talking to people, and you're getting stuff cheap, driving around. It's just a good time. So I would say that's my preferred way to source. Number one, garage sales. And then number two, thrift stores. Retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, it's just not as fun. You don't get as good margins, but the thrill of the hunt, of finding that item where you're like, guys, look what I got at a garage sale for $2 that sells for 50 or 100. I mean, there's nothing that beats that feeling for me. So that's how I'd answer that, Juan. Great question. What do you, Bill asks, what do you think of Polo Ralph Lauren sweater vests? Have you sold many of those, Chris?
I mean, I don't wear them, but I love flipping them. Have I sold I've sold Ralph Lauren sweater vest. I can't say that I have recently. I did pick up a really cool quarter zip Ralph Lauren sweater just yesterday, which I could have easily just shown today. It was a really cool piece, but I show Ralph Lauren all the time. But yeah, anything Ralph Lauren and sweater is great. Sweater in just about any brand that I can think of is going to be a +1 over shirts in terms of it's going to sell faster and it's going to sell for more money.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, keep in mind with that Brooks Brothers sweater that I just showed you, use that as a great example, Bill. You're looking for wool is better. I mean, cotton does sell, but it's on the lower end. Great patterns. Just unique pieces are going to be higher end. So the more it looks like a lot of those other listings that are in eBay, the longer it's going to take to sell and the less money you're going to get. So just, it's kind of a general rule of thumb. Terry asked, do you ever come across Gitman Bros dress shirts for men? I've never heard of that brand, Terry. So maybe you can inform us if you've picked that up. It sounds like you're familiar with it. So Chris, do you know that brand?
Somebody recently mentioned it to me on TikTok. It might have been Terry. I don't know if Terry's a TikTok follower, but somebody has recently mentioned that brand to me as a bolo. So I got my eyes out for it. But
and then Don asks, what do you consider a decent net profit on your more basic pieces?
Yeah, for clothing, I'm really targeting like an average between $12 or $13 is my net profit. So after shipping and fees, that's what I'm looking for. For shoes, I'm looking for an average of like $16 to $18 per sale after shipping and fees. So, of course, I'm looking for more. If I'm some of those heavy hitters I showed you earlier, like a vintage Tommy piece or a vintage LL Bean fleece, I'm obviously looking more money, and those will help with the averages. But for basic stuff, I'm looking 12 to 13 for shirts and 16, 18 for shoes.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think the more basic, like bread and butter items are just, those are the pieces that you're going to take less on, but you kind of put a lot in your store so that when they do sell, you get an extra 10 or 15 bucks here and there. Let's see here. I got a question on, not a question, but Ryan says, sell me that White Sox hat behind Chris and throw in that all over fish print shirt. So Ryan, I guess make your offer.
So actually this question goes out to everybody, but specifically Ryan, what years did the White Sox have that logo on their jerseys and their hats? What years? I wonder if anybody knows the specific years.
I'm going to say
slight little flaw there, which is a bummer.
Do you know the answer to this, Chris?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I looked it up so that I listed this item today. I picked it up yesterday. So I looked it up just so I could add that to the listing. I did not know.
I'm going to guess 70s.
Okay. Good guess. We'll see what the viewers say. See if Mr. Hines gets this one.
Oh, got a question, a rhetorical question. Maybe not rhetorical. Whatever kind of question is. Colts Comics, Jeremy, if I wear that sweater, will it make me a fisherman? Jeremy, absolutely. You will be a fisherman, and you can wear it as you list that Eddie Bauer sweater.
Serious question. I'm glad that Jeremy brought that up. What makes you call a sweater a fisherman's sweater?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know what makes it a sweater, but I guess what I'm looking at is like it's a pullover. I guess most sweaters are, but it's got the buttons here in the front, so it kind of buttons up. Or I guess if it's buttons, I would classify it fisherman. But the heavier cotton and the heavier this knit fabric, like I don't know how well you can see this, but it's a really heavy, thick cable knit pattern, and so I would think that places where fishermen are going to be really cold by the water. It's going to be really breezy. And they want that heavier sweater, as opposed to like this Brooks Brothers that I showed you. There's really lightweight, thin. It's not going to be that warm. It's more of like a style thing. So that's kind of how I classify it. It's got to be the heavy cable knit and the pullover buttons. That's what I go with.
I think the answer to that question would be if you would wear it with galoshes and like a nice pipe, then it's a fisherman's sweater.
That works too. We had a question from Kathy. She's a regular viewer. I've been waiting all week to ask, can you discuss eBay promoting? And I know we've talked about this in the past, so we don't want to talk about this for a long time tonight, Kathy, but we do want to help you out because this show is for you guys. So I'll just take this by saying that I promote all of my items almost continuously. I try different amounts, usually around 5 to 7%, the trending. But yeah, my items are almost always promoted. There's hardly ever a time where they're not. So long answer short, yes.
And that's exactly how I do it. I set my promotion and I set it to stay promoted until I go in and manually end it.
Yep. So thank you for asking that, Kathy. Landshark Picker, welcome to the show. Thanks for jumping in. All right, Chris, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and pivot to hearing what the top 3 brands for you from 2020 were. I'm excited to see what these are. I've got some ideas, but I'll let you take it away and tell us what those are.
Yeah, thanks. So I get the question a lot on TikTok and when I'm just talking to people in general about reselling. Everyone wants to know, like, what are your biggest brands? What are the best selling brands? And I always like kind of guess and have a reasonable answer for it. But I actually decided today, like, look, I'm going to dig in. I'm actually going to look at some numbers and give you some numbers. So I'm going to be super transparent with everybody about my business here. I'm going to tell you sales numbers from 2020. I'm going to tell you my top 3 best-selling brands from 2020. I'm going to give you dollar amounts, percentages, and all that. So super transparent, giving you a big glimpse into my business. So we'll start by saying that in 2020, I spent 95% of the year as a part-time reseller. So the last 3 weeks I was full-time. I left my full-time job. My last day was December the 4th or 5th. So 3 weeks basically is full-time. So this is when my last year is being part-time. I had 1,064 sales on eBay during 2020. And those sales totaled $41,573. So these brands I'm about to tell you, my top 3 brands, totaled 18.6% of my total sales in terms of units last year, just from these 3 brands, 18.6%. So almost 1 out of 5 basically is what I'm showing you from these 3 brands. I didn't know that before I went into these numbers. So I'm learning along with this too. I just did this research today. And the sales represented the dollars was 11.6% of my total sales from 2020. So these brands, if they're not on your radar screen, I don't know. I think they should be. This is the classic. This is what we call, we hear the term in the reseller world. We talk about bread and butter items all the time, right? That word's thrown around. It's a bread and butter item. It's something it's not my big profit items, but I sell them all the time. For me, I say it keeps my lights on. it keeps my business
Right.
afloat and allows me to do it. So those are these three brands. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We'll start backwards and work our way up. So I'll start with brand number 3 is LL Bean. LL Bean was my third best-selling brand of 2020. I sold 49 bean pieces in 2020 for
Nice.
a total sales amount of $1,274. So my average sales price, was $26 for LL Bean shirts. That's actually the highest of these three brands that I'll share with you. So $26. I didn't work out like the average of how much I spent for each one, but I can generally tell you that the average LL Bean shirt I pay $5 for, and the shipping cost on an average LL Bean shirt is going to be about $4.50. So you can do the math there. So my average profit for Bean is probably somewhere between probably $14 is probably what we're looking at. I didn't look at those specific numbers and crunch them for you, but those are just some rough estimates. But
Yeah.
49 for $1,274. LL Bean. That's my third best-selling brand.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. That's a great brand.
So brand number 2, and these aren't going to be surprises to anybody who watches my content over at TikTok, and probably not a surprise to you at all, Jason, either. Brand number 2 is Brooks Brothers. I sold 56 Brooks Brother pieces in 2020 for a total of $1,232. So that's 5.2% of my unit sales. So basically 1 out of every 20 shirts or 1 out of every 20 items I sold was a Brooks Brothers item. And that represented 2.9% of my total sales.
Oh, wow.
I sold Brooks Brothers on average for $22, including shipping. The average that I spent for Brooks Brothers, I didn't calculate this, but I just know this based on, what my limits are in terms of what I spend. My average would be $4 is what I spent for Brooks Brothers shirt. So a little bit lower profit margin on that item. But again, we're talking 1 out of 20 items that I sold in 2020 was Brooks Brothers, 3% of my sales, $1,232. That's paying some utilities right there.
Wow.
So none of those sales are big sales. But
Yeah.
when you times it by 56, that's a lot of money.
Yep. Especially when you're only paying $4.
Right. And especially when that was a part-time year for me. I had a full-time income on top of that. These numbers in 2021 are probably going to look substantially different. So the number 1 best-selling brand for Chris in 2020, this is going to be no surprise to anybody, Ralph Lauren. I sold 94 Ralph Lauren pieces in 2020. That represented 8.8% of my unit sales. So basically 1 out of every 11 or 11 and a half items I was selling was Ralph Lauren, which is wild. For a total sales amount of $2,350, which represented 5.6% of my total sales on eBay, which is wild, right? Like 1/20th of my total revenue collected was thanks to that pony.
Polo Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, and I average sale price of $25 on those Ralph Laurens. I didn't look up sizes of any of these things, but I'll tell you with Ralph Lauren, just like as I was scanning through my spreadsheets, there wasn't very, very many L's or mediums in there. The most common was XL, and the second most common by far was 2XL.
So question for you based on those 3 brands, because, gosh, when did you move to Florida? Was it July?
Yeah, July the 17th to be exact.
Okay. For some reason, even though that makes sense because it was about the same time we left Colorado, you had a lot of time in Florida to find those brands. So that wasn't something that you found only in Colorado, that you'll continue to pick those up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would say what's interesting is the way that I tracked my sales in 2020 was I have 2 separate spreadsheets, like one for the first half of the year and one for the second half of the year, just because the spreadsheets were getting too bulky. This year, I'm actually going to break it up into quarters. But I actually, it was almost 50-50 in terms of first half of the year to the second half of the year, Ralph Lauren. So that tells me that I was probably finding them as consistently in Colorado as I have been in Tampa. And I would imagine that would probably be generalizable to some other metro areas too.
Yeah. And those brands are, I'd say of the 3, Ralph Lauren is probably the most mainstream as far as you'll find it everywhere. And then Brooks Brothers, I'd guess would be a little more rare than like LL Bean finding. Maybe you would differ on that thought, but I think I find LL Bean a little more than I see Brooks Brothers here.
I would say the opposite would be true. I'd say it would be like I'd find 3 Brooks Brothers for every 2 LL Bean around here, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
But LL Bean's it's a main brand. They tend to be it's more kind of like flannels. It's more earth tones. It's more it's more the North.
Right.
That's the the Florida sort of colors and patterns. So there you have it. Those are my top 3 selling brands of 2020. Talk about the definition of bread and butter. That was 18.6% of my unit sales, 11.6% of my dollar sales in 2020. That's $4,856 in sales just from those 3 brands.
Yeah, that's incredible. And for those that are watching, just keep in mind that Chris is sharing with you some brands, those 3 brands that he's mentioning. Those are great brands, but that doesn't mean that Chris picks up every Brooks Brothers or every Ralph Lauren or LL Bean. Obviously, there, like he said, size matters, the color matters if it's in great condition. So when you hear us talking about these brands, don't think that we're saying, every time we see one, we pick it up. We definitely filter it through those thoughts of, is this an old shirt, and not in a good way, but is this old and kind of dingy, or, there's a lot of items that are even 2XL that I'll pass on because they're not a great condition shirt if it's Ralph Lauren or LL Bean. So just keep that in mind.
That's a good point. And I'll mention too, price really, really matters. So of those 199 sales of those 3 brands, I probably paid more than $6 for maybe 5 or 6 of them. I mean, everything you're talking about is $6 or less. And with Brooks Brothers, I'd say 90% of them are $4 or less, because I very rarely go to $5 on a Brooks Brothers shirt. So
yeah, it's frustrating when you see like a really crisp, it's got the dry clean tag on it, it's a Ralph Lauren or a Bean 2XL, it's got the great colors, and it's $10. It's like, I'll sit there and think about it for so long, even though I know I should pass. It's just so hard to pass up sometimes.
Jason, I passed up 10, I'm not joking, 10 Brooks Brothers shirts yesterday that were priced at $650. I didn't even stop to look at the size or to investigate them. I saw the price $650 and I just moved right on, because I know, unless it's like linen or something, I know it's not. For me, it doesn't fit my model.
Yeah, and $650, you're looking at probably a $10 profit by the time you subtract out all the fees, which isn't bad per se, but just out of curiosity, what's your profit goal, like per item? What do you want to shoot around?
For shirts, I'm looking for 12 to 13 is kind of like what I'm looking for. $10 being the bare minimum. The problem with shooting at the bare minimum all the time, like Brooks Brothers, the price is so consistent. I don't want to do something that when everything goes well, it's going to get me $10. Because here's the thing: if I pick up 10 Brooks Brothers, one of them is going to be flawed in a way that I'm going to not notice till I get home, and I'm going to have to spot clean it and invest time. So now it's like $10 I made on it if everything goes right, but now I invested more time. And then one of those 2 is got to have a flaw in it that I didn't notice, and I'm not going to be able to get it out. And then I'm going to have to unload that shirt and make like a $2 or $3 profit on it. Right. So that's the problem for me, you got to take in the time value quotient, right? And knowing that some percentage of your shirts, to me, that's about it. If I take home 10 shirts, one of them is going to have a flaw I can get out. One of them is going to have a flaw I can't. That's a pretty good average.
Yeah, that's a really good answer, Chris. There are a couple questions coming in based on what you're answering. So I want to go ahead and acknowledge these. Ed asks, what's the best shipping method on those shirts?
Probably every single one of those 199 shirts went first class. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's probably a few sweaters mixed into those numbers too, but most of those are button-down shirts. So they probably went first class, and they were probably $450. And I would say the range in price was probably $375 to $525 was probably the total range of how much. So really tight, they're going in poly mailer bags, they're going first class, and the price varies based on where in the country that it's going to. So if it's going to the East Coast, it's going to be on the lower end of the range. If it's going to the West Coast, because I'm in Florida, it's going to the West Coast, it'll be on the higher end of the range.
We also Gallo Groti. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but do you pick up the U.S. Polo Association or just look away? That's a great question.
I've been talking a lot. I'll let you take that one. And hey, Adam, thanks for joining. That's Adam Stanley from TikTok.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I very rarely hardly ever pick that up. I usually just pass by it. I found this actually really cool hat yesterday that was like a red plaid pattern, and I looked at it. It looked vintage, but it was this brand, and I left it behind. If it had been Polo Ralph Lauren, I would have picked it up, but it's the lower end of their line, and I don't usually entertain any of those, so pass on by. And then Terry asks, how does Brooks Brothers for women's sell? I have a few dress shirts to list. Terry, actually, I would say really well. I mean, I've only sold a couple of them. Up until 2-3 weeks ago, I didn't even know Brooks Brothers made clothing for women. So I'm relatively new on this, but I would say, yeah, I think you can still get, if you've got a crisp women's like blouse, like business type shirt, you can probably get in the mid 20s, possibly up to 30 for that, depending on the condition. But I actually found a new with tags, Brooks Brothers for women dress shirt. So I've got that listed around 40 or 50 bucks right now. So great question. Do you, you find those at all, Chris, those Brooks Brothers women's?
No, to be honest with you, if I'm finding women's clothes, it's because somebody misinventoried it in the men's section and I pick it up, but I've never come across that I'm aware of a Brooks Brothers women's that was in the men's section. By the way, yeah. Terry, any questions that are like women's clothes, we'll do our best to answer those. I don't think either of us have a ton of knowledge in there, but I want to shout someone out. If you're looking at women's clothes and you want to continue to learn, you might already know this person, but Hustle at Home Mom, her name is Ashley, but Hustle at Home Mom on Utah, she's from Utah, but she's on YouTube. Check out her channel. She really knows her stuff with women's clothes. Anytime I get like a wild hair and I'm like, I want to learn some like women's clothes, I go and check out her channel. I usually get overwhelmed because I don't get women's clothes. I just don't have a fashion eye, I guess, but that's the person to definitely watch.
Yeah. And women's is definitely harder because there's a lot more stuff out there, different sizing, and it just sometimes takes a little longer to sell. So she's definitely great. Well, let's go ahead and let's queue up our flipping game that we wait every week to play and try and win the week's challenge. So, Chris, what are we playing tonight?
Well, let's play a flipping game. So the game is 5 questions. Jason and I are answering those questions based on our last week of pickups and sales. Question number 5 is important because we need audience participation for question number 5. We'll tell you about that in a moment. So audience participation is super important. I am your defending champion. And I got the all-time flipping. Here's the record books right here. This is the official record books. I'm also an artist part-time, as you can tell. Look at that. Jason with the shoes with 1 win and Chris with the shirts with 5. Here's tonight's flipping scoreboard right here. Jason with the shoes, Chris with the shirts. Jason, I'm ready to play. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I've been waiting all week. So let's get to it.
All right, I'm your defending champion, which means, among other things, I get to go first. So let's start off with question number 1, biggest sale. But before you go to my shared screen, Jason, I need a ruling. Is that sale I got 30 seconds before the show? Does that count for this show, or am I using the next show?
I'm good with it. I'd rather it be done this week than have to wait until next week.
I'm just excited to show everybody. This is a really cool sale.
Do you have it queued up, or do you need to grab it?
Ready to go, man.
All right, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right, you got it.
Boom, there it is. Check out this music snow globe featuring San Francisco. The brand is 3Js. I listed this, I want to say 3 weeks ago, and I paid, I think $6 was my price for it. Again, the show sold 30 seconds before airtime, so didn't prepare all my notes on it, but we can check out how cool this piece is. Look at the Golden Gate Bridge, Hoyt Tower.
Dude, that's amazing.
Look at all the, I don't know what that road, I forget the name of that road, but.
Yeah, you were just showing this like 3 weeks ago in our show.
Yeah, and when it plays, the trolley cars, like that's how you play the music box. They spin, but just a beautiful piece. It was in flawless condition. So I listed it for $89. I got an offer about an hour before showtime for $50. Right, I paid $6 for this thing, so be really easy for me to just bail out, take the $50 and say, that's awesome. I've just made like $38 in profit and run away. I didn't. I counter offered for $60. I could have countered offered higher, but I wanted to move it. And that person accepted the offer of $60 plus 16 shipping. for a grand total. So buyers all in for $76 on that sale. I paid $6.
Wow, Chris, that's a great sale. And yeah, that piece, I think that was your coolest item a few weeks back. That's a great one.
Yeah, I should have I didn't have time to bring it out for the show. I would have had it sold more than 30 seconds before. And the person didn't pay for it yet at that point. So I wasn't like, I don't know if I usually wait till someone pays to count it, to share it publicly, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let me show you what I've got. And already, so I picked this up about a week ago. I got, it was actually 21 pieces from Williams-Sonoma. They all looked like this. It was 14 dinner plates and 7 salad plates. And you can see I've got this listing for the 7 salad plates. These were all, well, the salad plates were in excellent condition. So I've got 2 other listings for the dinner plates, but this one sold. I paid $20 for all 21 pieces. And I got an offer on this. We were going back and forth. I think 40 was the low, like first offer. We countered 2 or 3 times. I finally got the sale for $60 plus shipping, $80 total. So that was my big sale this week.
So by my math, you took it.
Yeah, and you had me nervous there when you said, "Can I count the sale that just came in?" Because I thought I was done right there.
Wow, that was a close one. That's an awesome sale and quick too. So cool. Jason takes the lead. You're probably happy to see that Jaylen Brown didn't join the show tonight. I don't have any Jaylen Brown listed right now, but I have a stack of them still to sell. You might see Jason yet. So that's nice. Jason's off to a lead. Jason with the shoes 1, Chris with the shirts 2. Let's go into our second question, which is biggest profit. So we're looking for the biggest profit on one sale from the past 7 days after shipping and fees. That would have been the snow globe, but I can't use the same product for the for
That's
questions.
the rule that we said.
Rules are rules. So I'm queued up with my biggest profit right now. Boom, there it is. Mountain Hardwear. I paid $5 for this. It sold for a best offer. I got $61 total, including shipping. So I guess that's $55 plus 6 shipping. So I made a net profit after shipping and fees of $43 on this item. I could have got more money. Some of you are probably like, why didn't you get more money for this item? It had some flaws. Flawed stuff sells. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So small little pinhole, no big deal. And then some discoloration there on the sleeve. So $43 is my biggest profit item after the snow globe.
Nice. Good sale there. This one's going to be close too. All right, largest profit. I had an item that had sat for around a year to a year and a half. And this was it. This Columbia Northern Voyage jacket, new with tags. I had this listed, I think, when I first listed it, around like $100, 80 to 100, somewhere in there. And I just, after a couple of iterations of edits, I lowered it down and it finally sold full price for that full price. So $55.83 plus 12 shipping gave me $67.83 all in on this. And let me look over here. Profit on this was $41.79.
No way. Holy
$41.79. So I think you took the second round. That was, I mean, within a couple bucks of each other. So the first 2 rounds, this is the closest it's ever been in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's wild. I think we're separated by a total of like $5 in profit and sales on those first 2. That's amazing. But you know what? Everybody wins with sales like that. That's amazing. You know what's interesting is I've had some like new with tags jackets kind of sit around for a little while too. I think at first I overestimated how quick a lot of retail arbitrage and online arbitrage stuff would sell. For me, new with tags is a lot more competitive than used because you're competing with all these other retailers, which people would generally rather buy from a big retailer than that bearded guy, Chris, right? So anyway, and they're offering free shipping and free returns and all this nonsense, you know?
Yeah, I agree. All right, round number 3.
I got it. Fastest sale. This is always a fan favorite. Getting rid of those things quick. Jason, I am ready to go. There it is. So I listed this item today and it sold today. So we've learned that we have to get really specific here. I listed it at $12.26. It sold at $347, so it was listed for 3 hours and 21 minutes. And Jason, this is my first sport coat sale. I have 25 of them listed on eBay, and this is my first sale. This is a new venture for me in a learning experience getting into coats. I think it's the big size 48 regular on this.
Yeah, I agree. And the wool, I mean, that's a beautiful coat. I'm actually shocked that it sold that fast, but glad that paid off investing in that whole haul of sports coats.
All right. Show us your speed demon.
Let me get mine up. All right, I had two, and I'm going to go with the slower of the two because the first one was a knife, and I was like, I didn't technically source the knife, and that was 51 minutes. So
whoa!
I'm going to go with the second one, which is actually one that I sourced because remember that knife was for my grandmother. But this piece, I picked it up on, gosh, I think Wednesday. I listed it on, or no, Tuesday, something like that. I don't know. I picked it up very quickly. I listed it, and within 1 hour and 41 minutes, it sold on a best offer. And here's the crazy thing on this. So this is a vintage. I don't know if it's vintage or not, honestly, but someone's not buying it because it's vintage. They're buying the camo, the chamois, the heavy cotton, and the size. I just did a TikTok on these not too long ago before this sold, but this guy, I had it at $49.79 plus 8 shipping. And I knew once I listed it that it takes a little while for my store to go on sale. And so my store was going to knock it down 20%. It was going to come down $10. And I got to watch her really quickly. So I was like, shoot, I need to send an offer and hope to sell it before it drops down to 39. So I sent an offer for 44 and he took it, $52 all in on this great shirt. So.
Wow. I mean, you beat me twice. You had 2 sales faster than 3 hours and 21 minutes, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's really fast, y'all. Like, we show you our fastest sale of the week, but we I probably had 40 sales, 30 sales this week, right? And most of them are not inside of a few days. I mean, never mind a few hours. So
yeah, and I didn't know if you would come back on the knife since it technically wasn't mine. So that's why I picked that one. All right, here we go. Next round.
By the way, anything grandma, I support it, man. So I wouldn't have stood in the way of that. Flipping scoreboard updated. Jason with the shoes 2, Chris with the shirts 1. I am shaking in my boots now, but my favorite category, which is slowest sale. I love getting rid of that old inventory. This is my favorite category. So I am ready, Jason. Boom, this Kenneth Cole shirt, y'all. It's on the screen, but don't go out and buy Kenneth Cole. This is not a brand I pick up. This is a shirt. This is actually one of my old shirts. I sourced this out of my closet. I listed it on May the 19th, 2019. You can tell my pictures aren't really good back then. My pictures have got better since then. Yeah, that's the old door that I used to hang it on in Denver. But this was my shirt back when I had to wear a dress or a button-down shirt to work. I sold it for $6.20 plus $4.75 shipping. Real heavy hitter here, but 616 days this was listed on eBay, even though the price was $6.20, 10% off on the sale.
How many days did you say the total?
616 days.
Wowzers. Yeah, I remember those days of taking the pictures in front of the door. I had that streak as well.
Hey, it works, man. I sold more than 1,000 items that were hanging on that door.
To each his own. Do not despise little beginnings. All right, here we go. My slowest sale of the week were these Salomon trail running shoes. And I bet if you just look at the title, you can figure out why they took so long to sell.
Ooh,
size there. Women.
Size 5.
Yeah. Salomon is a great shoe brand, and I was shocked because these were almost very excellent condition, and just wasn't having any bites whatsoever. So they finally got lowered down. This was an item that I relisted recently, and I took a best offer of $20 plus 10 shipping. I moved them for $30 all in. But you want to know how long did I have them?
Yeah,
January 24th, 2019 for 766 days.
And who would think it's such a great brand? But guys, you got to dig deeper than the brand, you know, and size is, I mean, it's critically important with shoes. Jason, what's the sweet spot for women's shoes for size for you?
Yeah, I would say I'm not picking up anything less than a size 7 women's. That's just the minimum for me. So
that's about where I'm at too. And I think the real sweet spot is 7.5 to 9, I think is a good sweet spot.
Yeah, 7 to 9 is a good sweet spot.
Nice job getting rid of that old inventory, brother. So flipping scoreboard, 3 for the shoes, 1 for the shirts. And now we're going, we need the audience participation for this one. We're looking for we've been talking about sales. Now we're talking about picks from this week. So the best pick of the week. And I'll mention that this doesn't have to be the highest dollar item. It just has to be the one item that you're like, that is the coolest. So I've picked my coolest. I know Jason's picked his coolest. I'm going to jump in and go first. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to be a tough one to beat. I found this yesterday. It was, I think, the last item that I picked yesterday at the second thrift store I went to. Boom, there we go.
Saturday Night Live?
Saturday Night Live, Chris Rock, the character Nat X. Look at this thing. I paid $4.99 for it. It is vintage to the year 2000.
2000, yeah, nice.
Any Saturday Night Live fans in the house, Chris Rock fans, look at that thing.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that a thing of beauty? I didn't realize that if you put that back up on the screen big, Jason, they have other characters on here too. It's like part of the whole series. Go
boy.
Yeah. Samurai Baker. So there's a whole series, and this is series number 1. I didn't look if what was part of series number 2, but anyway, it is new in box. There is definitely some like boxware to it, but it's sealed. It hasn't been opened. So pretty cool find.
Nice. Do you remember It's Pat?
Yeah, of course.
That was a classic oldie.
Oh, so good.
All right, here we go. Here's my coolest find. I've got 3 pieces because they came together, but this is a WCW World Championship Wrestling Sting plate, collector's plate, and it's got a number on the back there. So plate number, and there's 3 of these. So
oh my gosh.
$2.92 a piece. They've got a gold rim around them, and here's the 3rd one.
Oh my gosh.
And then all of them have a collector's number or a plate number on the back. So a limited edition. So yeah, these 3, I saw them in the store because I'm always in the plates and the mugs and stuff. And I was like, whoa, those have got to be worth some money. So I just quickly looked up one of these because they were $3 a piece. One of them went for like mid-20s. So I thought, gosh, for $9 total, I'm definitely going to pick up all 3 of those. So
we got Ryan in the comments saying those plates are giving me nightmares.
Any Sting fans in the chat or in the live?
Oh man, I'm more of a Brutus the Barber Beefcake fan myself. If we're picking squads.
Yeah,
that's going way back. That's going back to the 80s.
Yeah, it's going back that far. I would say I was a Hulk Hogan fan if we're going into wrestling. So that's going way back though.
Hulk Hogan lives here in the Tampa Bay area.
Really?
That is true.
All right, so some of you are already doing it, but vote J for Jason, C for Chris. Who do you think is the coolest by your measure, your standards? Which item?
Those Sting plates were great, man. That's a cool find, man. I love seeing you hanging out on the outside wall of the thrift store instead of just on the racks in the middle.
I think, since we started the show and started this little game with the coolest pick, I don't know about you, but it's forced me out because I'm like, I got to find my coolest pick. And while I'm out, I end up finding stuff like that, like the whole gloves or just random pieces like that are just, I get so excited about. So, man, it's really close, but it looks like I think there's more C's than J's. It looks like you've got 2 or 3 extra on me. So I think you take the last round.
Dang, it's close. We're going to need a recount?
WCW versus SNL.
So is that the final verdict? I'm kind of nervous. I'm sweating over here.
Daniel says Jason. So 1 to 2, 3, 1 to 3, Chris, 2, 3 to 3, 3 to 4, you, 4 to 4, 4 to 5, 4 to 6, 4 to 7, 4 to 8, 4 to 9. Yeah, you've got it. You win like 9 to 4. So
dang, that was a close one. Those plates were rad. I was nervous. Woo, that feels good to win that one. So I'll update our scoreboard here. It does not change the final outcome. Our new champion of the flipping game is Jason with the shoes. 3-2, great victory. Gosh, that was a close game. Some really cool stuff.
That was really close.
Man, when you sell something that's been in inventory for 616 days and you don't take that category, and you sell something in 3 hours and 21 minutes and you don't take that category, you know your competition.
Yeah. This was by far the closest round we've ever had consistently with each round. Usually we've got a couple rounds where it's like blowouts, but that was amazing.
And you know what it really hinged on? I thought this is how close that could have been. Like that sale with the snow globe, if I had countered at 63, I take that. Instead, I countered at 60 and sold it. If I did it at 63, that's the game right there.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to show one last thing that would have been my biggest sale because I think it's super relevant for today and the right now. I was actually excited to share this. Look at this Tampa Bay Bucks. Go Bucks, go Brady. Look at this
big thing. Size.
It's like that Belichick style with like the cut off sleeves kind of thing. Obviously Belichick inspired.
Oh yeah.
Look at that thing. Sold
Is it for you sold or just listed?
I sold it last Thursday right after the show. So this was going to be my biggest sale for the week if that snow globe didn't go. So nice. About right around showtime, I get hot, and every week I'm like selling something either right before or right after the show. That's a super heater. I get $59 plus 9 shipping for that item. I paid $25 for it. Retail arbitrage. I actually bought 3 of these and sold all 3. I bought 2 of them back in August and sold them. And then I found another one randomly like a month ago and picked it up. And I was like, I hope there's enough season left for me to sell this. It sold last Thursday. It got to the buyer who lives down the street in Holiday, Florida, literally 10 minutes away. It's probably where I bought the shirt in the town of Holiday is where I picked it up, I think. Actually, it's definitely where I picked it up.
Yeah.
It's at a TJ Maxx. And I sent it to that person. He had it Saturday, or he or she, I forget, so that they could wear it for the game on Sunday. That's why Brady won, because that dude was wearing
that sale. Yeah,
he was probably big at the sports bar Sunday with that.
Yeah. I love the hood on that.
Isn't that sweet?
That's a great piece. Both those great sales. Well, guys, this is the last part of the show where we ask a question and you answer it. And we've already answered ours tonight, biggest flip from this past week. But tell us, what is your biggest flip from this past week? We want to know. And actually, someone put, I forget who, but let me go back because someone had already said they sold a Game Boy, I think. Oh, wow. Where was it? Game Boy Color. Yeah, Carlos just sold a Game Boy Color today with a couple of games it came with. I paid $6 and sold it for $160 plus shipping. Carlos, if you're still here, where did you find that?
Yeah, holy Toledo. It's tough finding like vintage games and stuff. It's such a competitive, like people are just grabbing those things right away.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Awesome sale. Have you ever come across a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color?
No, I haven't. I've done the PSPs. I picked up those once or twice, and yeah, they're a great market, but not the Game Boy Color. Terry says on your Tampa Bay Bucks sweatshirt thing you had there, my daughter got my son this for Christmas, but it was the Patriots.
Right on.
I think Chris would like that either way because he's in Florida, but he loves the Patriots.
What? Me? You got me wrong. I'm a Dolphins fan. What are you talking about?
I thought you were a Patriot because you're a Boston guy.
I was born in Boynton Beach, Florida, southeast coast.
Oh man, but you're a Red Sox fan.
Well, there was no baseball team in Florida until like the late 97 is when like the Marlins came around, I think 95 or something like that.
Man, I really thought you were a Patriots fan. Okay, I was wrong. Let's see. Trisha, I sold a CD that I got in a lot of 10,000 CDs for $60. Wow, did that pay for that lot of CDs. I'm sure you got those pretty cheap. Uncle Dave in the chat sold a signed James Michener, I don't know how you pronounce that book, for $125 plus shipping of $10. Cost $1. Wow, great. That's a random great book sale.
Nice one, Uncle Dave.
Alyssa, I bought a silverware chest for $11 at the thrift and sold it for $300.
Dang.
She says, I've been doing this a month. Watch you both. Thanks for the advice. Great find. That, I mean, yeah, that would have taken the cake tonight.
Alyssa, I mean, we do this full time, and I mean, that would make my year maybe if I had an 11 into 300 flip. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. Trisha says cost was less than a cent per CD. So yeah, $100 all in, and one sells for 60. Let's see here. Vintage Marlboro. I always have a hard time saying this. Marlboro, Fluger, and Shakespeare rod and reel set sold $63, paid $17. Nice. Do you know that brand, Fall Raven?
Fall Raven. I've only come across it once. There was a Fall Raven store that was right down the street from where I lived in Denver. They built it right before I moved. But yeah, Fall Raven, big time brand. I think they have
they have like a little fox logo, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you guys are looking for Fall Raven, kind of an outdoor enthusiast brand, but high brand. So
good one, James.
And then we'll do this last one. Ralph Lauren black suede shirt 2XL, bought for $5, sold for just under $68 with shipping.
Dang. I'll tell you what, our audience is flipping to win it. I mean, these are some great flips. Have you ever found a suede shirt? That's rad.
I haven't. That surprised me because Ralph Lauren isn't a brand I pick up. But if I saw that suede shirt, you better believe I would snatch that off the rack.
Don will sell you one for $67.97 if you're nice.
That's right. Well, guys, if you had played this game, you would have beat Chris and I because most of those were larger than our biggest sales. So congrats on winning that round.
Yeah, for real.
And thanks for tuning in this night to our Two Flippin' Dudes show. Just a reminder, Two Flippin' Dudes will be back next week, every Thursday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And next week, we'll talk about something different. So this week, we talked about Chris's 3 big brands from 2020. Next week, we'll have another topic, but it will look very similar to tonight's show.
Well, Jason, congratulations on your victory tonight. Big win. You needed win. I got to update the all-time flipping record books here.
Yeah, let's get that updated before we close out the show.
That's a big win. Ooh, my artwork gets even better when I do it on the fly. Ooh, look at this.
That was a dignity saver right there. So what is it? 5-2? 5 shirts to 2 shoes. All right.
But you know what? When you're flipping stuff, you're out there thrifting, you're out there grinding, you're out there garage selling, estate selling, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and you're making some money and you're feeding your family or you're saving for vacations, whatever that money is. We're all winning. So
that's right. Jason's
the big winner tonight, although there were some flips in that comment section that I'm a little jealous of. But great game tonight. Great show tonight. I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, so guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, set your reminder for next week, Thursday night, 8 Eastern. All right, well, that's it for Chris and I. Hope you guys have a great week selling. And don't forget about TikTok. We are there. There's our handles in our picture there if you're looking for short videos and just wanting to connect with us over on that platform. So come join us over on TikTok as well. Have a great night, everyone.